26. Thank you guys so much for taking some time out of your busy Wednesday to join us. Listen, we are going to tell you guys what's happening here in the city, and we got a lot to talk about here because we are watching some weather because that's going to roll in here. And, you know, in Houston, you get some rain, chance of flooding increases. So we're going to talk to Ramisha Shade about the forecast and what we can look forward to there with potential flooding risks. Not to mention, we also had an accident there where we're following, where a guy essentially left his family. And then we have another interview here talking about food intoxication. Then we got to talk a little bit of basketball as well, because the University of Houston, the Cougs, are in the Sweet 16. So we are going to get to all of it here today. But like I mentioned at the top of the show, let's talk about the weather. All right, so meteorologist Ramisha Shade joining me now. Ramisha, thank you. How's your day so far?
Busy as usual.
You know, but you get it done every time.
I'm hanging in. Yeah. We're knocking it out.
Okay, so let's get to this here forecast. You got to admit, the last couple of days, beautiful, right?
Yeah, the calm days before the storm. So, like I've been telling people, soak up the sunshine, do what you can to enjoy the quiet weather. Not a lot to soak up today. Of course, we had a lot of sunshine yesterday, but as I was telling people, the clouds are going to get thicker today, and they certainly have. And now our attention is turning to the south and west because we do have an increasing flood danger threat. In fact, the National Weather Service has already issued a flood watch for parts of the area, basically south and southwest of the Houston metro area. This will kick in at 7 a.m. on Thursday and stick around all the way through 1 p.m. Friday. You may be wondering, are you in the flood watch? Well, if you are anywhere in Brazoria County, you are in that flood watch. Of course, that does include Pearland, Manville, Alvin, Angleton, Lake Jackson, all of those spots, potentially with 4 to 6 inches of rain. That's going to be between Thursday morning and Friday afternoon and evening. Also included in the watch, besides Brazoria County, we've got Matagorda County. That would include Bay City, Palacios, Calhoun County, Port Lavaca, Edna, El Campo. So we've got Jackson and Wharton counties as well. Once again, if you've got outdoor plans, the rest of today, I think you'll be fine. Just a few showers. But by tomorrow morning, and especially tomorrow afternoon and evening, tomorrow night, Friday morning, multiple rounds of this heavy rainfall could lead to, Anthony, several inches of rain potentially for parts of the area.
Now, for the rest of us that's not necessarily under that flood watch, what are we going to see here? Is it clear skies or what's the deal?
It's not all clear for us, unfortunately. Right. We may not be under the flood watch right now, but I think for the entire area, it's likely going to be anywhere from about 2 to 6 inches of rain. I think if you're up around Huntsville, down to Conroe, the Woodlands, likely 2 to 3 inches of rain there. Going down into Harris County, a big chunk of Harris County could end up picking up maybe 3-4 inches of rain. Likely 2 to 4 if you don't get the 3 to 4. But then as you get south and west of Houston, really west of 45 and south of I-10, that I think is going to be the bullseye for our area for that heavy rainfall. 4, 5, 6 plus inches of rain.
Yikes. Okay, so lots of folks in the city excited for Astros opening day over at Dyken Park.
Yeah, I believe first pitch tomorrow at 3:10.
Tomorrow, yeah. So what's the forecast? You know, I know obviously Dyken Park, you know, it's inside of a dome, so we're good once you get inside, but
it's
outside.
It's getting from the car into Dyken Park and then from there back to the car afterwards. Like I said, it's going to be waves of rain, but if you're under one of those downpours, it's coming down fast and furious. It's going to be heavy, and it's not going to be the most pleasant thing. Also, for the people maybe hanging out, doing a little, a little celebration.
A little celebration ahead of time.
Ahead of time, after the game, hopefully with a big win. If you're going to be outside, may not be the best weather for that. So we're certainly going to be monitoring things closely, but it does look like we are going to be dealing with those off again, on again, heavy downpours, maybe a few strong storms. That's the other part of this. The threat for severe storms has kind of increased a little bit as well. In fact, for tomorrow, we do have now a 2 out of 5 risk for severe storms, really from Houston, Galveston, and points south and west. Not a huge tornado threat, but maybe some wind gusts, 50, 55, 60 miles per hour in a few of those storms. And then also the threat for some hail and a very low tornado risk. So we got a lot to watch.
We got a lot to watch. Ramisha, thank you so much for joining the stream. And of course, Ramisha's going to give us that full forecast here tonight at 5 and 6 o'clock. So if you missed any of that here on the stream, Ramisha will be joining us with some more details on that. By the way, go Stros. Hopefully we get that win there tomorrow. All right, Ramisha, thank you so much. All right, let's get to another top story here today. So this one, a bit disturbing if I'm being honest here, especially if you're a parent. So Houston police are investigating they're looking for a father who abandoned his injured family after a major accident. You can see the accident there. Imagine this. A father left his family. He ran away from the scene. Let's get to Leslie Delaspore, who's joining us live in Independence Heights with some more details on this. Leslie, what's going on with this one?
Right, Anthony. So we have been here in this area. Actually, so this is the Independence Heights area, and a lot of people also know this as Stoodywood. This is actually 5051 Yale Street. We're actually standing right in front of the Z Fuel gas station, and just behind me here is where that Ford Expedition flipped multiple times into this ditch. I'm going to have my photographer walk this way to give you a better idea. So actually, this accident happened yesterday evening, according to Houston police, who are investigating along with witnesses, and they tell us that the Ford Expedition was going about 100 miles an hour, and we want to show you exactly where he was coming from. So this is Yale Street that you're looking at right now, and again, according to HPD and witnesses, the Ford Expedition was driving about 100 miles an hour southbound, coming down the street when a Chevy Avalanche was in that left lane that you see on your screen, and he was actually trying to make his way, the driver, into this gas station here. And the driver of that Chevy Avalanche told me that actually when him and the driver of the Ford Expedition crashed, again, that Ford Expedition flipped multiple times into this ditch here. Now, the driver of that Ford Expedition is a father and a husband, according to Houston police. Houston police say that the wife and the 4 kids were also inside that Ford Expedition as well. The children at this time are in the hospital. The wife is, so that's 5 people, the wife and 4 kids. 3 people are critical but stable, and 2 people are serious but stable. HPD also says that the oldest of the children was actually 8, but we talked to some witnesses here. I'm going to have my photographer walk with me just a little bit. So again, we're at the Z Fuel gas station here, but just across the way there's a Yale Food Mart, and that's where a lot of the witnesses told me that they were hanging out in the area when they saw the Ford Expedition flying, and they actually heard the crash. They ran out to help, and they told me today exactly what it was like to try to save these kids' lives. And again, we also heard from the driver of that Chevy Avalanche as well. So I want you to take a listen to what those people had to say today.
The other homeboy got one, and a couple other people had got the other babies, and there was a guy and a young lady that was in there. She got out last though, but one of the babies was kind of hurt real bad. He had a lump on his head and like a gash on his neck. The other little young baby, she was all right because she started crying, so the paramedics was like that the baby was okay by doing that. And then the other one was wasn't saying just too much or nothing, so I don't know what happened when they went to the hospital or not though, but what caused the wreck though, the guy was speeding real fast, doing about 80 and 90 on this thing right here, and collided with the Avalanche truck right there and flipped over into this bayou we're looking at right here. I got out of the truck, his truck tumbling, went down in that ditch. Once I went down there to get help, he come out of there, he trampled over all the babies and the mama and all. She was bleeding everywhere. He took off running. He met another car down the street and got in the car and took off.
Now, the driver of that Chevy Avalanche, his name is John McCoy, and the witness that we spoke to, his name is Herman Lawson, and they both tell me that they are happy that those kids are doing well. And again, we've been working this story all morning, so we will continue to bring you the latest. Reporting from Independence Heights, Leslie Delaspore, Fox 26 News.
Wow, Leslie, thank you so much for that. And just so I'm getting this right, he was going 100, and what's the speed limit in that area? What is it, maybe 30, 40? All right, I'm not sure if Leslie can hear us, but either way, to that woman and her kids, I won't be surprised if divorce is on the horizon for that couple after this. But nevertheless, that was Leslie Delaspore. She'll have more on that story for us again, 5 and 6 here today. All right, let's talk food intoxication now. So earlier this morning, our morning anchor, DeLon Dillard, he sat down and spoke with Martin Bucknavage. He's the food safety and quality expert for Penn State Department of Food Science. So let's listen into some things here that you guys can really learn from.
A lot of people are asking, what is food intoxication after the death of a Yankee star's son? Brett Gardner's 14-year-old son died during a family vacation in Costa Rica from apparent food poisoning. So how can a routine illness turn deadly? Martin Bucknavage is a specialist in food safety and quality with Penn State University. He joins us now live this morning. Martin, good morning to you.
Hey, good morning, Delon. How are you, sir?
Great, great. Thanks for spending a couple of minutes with us.
Oh, absolutely.
So food intoxication, this is essentially a more severe case of food poisoning?
Yeah, it's a form of food poisoning, and in an intoxication, generally whatever's consumed goes into the body, and in itself, that toxin generally immediately affects the body. Having followed this case pretty closely, it doesn't seem that the reaction to this was actually an intoxication from the food specifically, but probably more of a secondary type of issue that may have occurred, perhaps a medication that was given to the young guy. A complete tragedy, certainly. But I think that there's a lot more investigation that has to be done in this case to figure out.
Hey,
exactly
Stephanie, can you hear me?
what
This is
happened.
Anthony.
What are some of the common sources of this? And quite often I do hear from people who go
Hey,
on
Stephanie, can you hear
vacation,
me?
they eat at some of these resorts sometimes, and then the resort food does not always agree with them as it is anyway.
That's true. In the United States, we're pretty much blessed to have just a great food supply. We have great regulations that are in place, and for the most part, we follow them. But when you go overseas, that may not always be the case, and it can sometimes be difficult to know, how good, the service is, how good the preparation is that you're receiving in some of these other locations.
Are there types of food specifically that could really be issues when it comes to this?
A lot of it, any type of food has the potential to cause illness if it's not handled properly. Certainly, there are foods that are more apt to be an issue. Well, certainly, when we talk about intoxications, I always think about some of the exotics like mushrooms or certain types of seafood that, if people don't prepare it correctly, can be more of an issue. But sometimes it's really difficult to say what it is, and I always think it's good to, if you're traveling overseas, to make sure that you're going through and you know, the establishments that you're choosing are going to be ones that are reputable, that, look, that have a good look to them, right? And people are doing the right things. And again, sometimes it could be very difficult to do that.
What are the symptoms that you should keep an eye for, and the difference in symptoms between food intoxication versus food poisoning?
Yeah, when we say food, generally we look at food intoxication. Generally, it's going to be pretty quick. A lot of times it could be an allergic type response where we have flushing of the face, difficulty in breathing, swelling in the extremities, or it could be something like a poison, which just starts to cause a very severe abdominal distress, difficulty in vision, you get shaky, so anything like that after you've eaten food and you start to feel not good, it's certainly worthwhile to get it checked out immediately rather than waiting. But with an infection, generally with things like an infection, we're talking about things like salmonella or E. coli, where you eat the food and then the organism gets inside of you and it infects your cells. And then, it usually takes a number of days for that you start to see, and oftentimes we see the typical signs of food poisoning, which would be vomiting, diarrhea, fever.
What are the signs that people should look out for when it comes to food itself that could be spoiled?
For food spoilage, anything that doesn't look right? If it doesn't look right, if it doesn't smell right, I think one of the big things, of course, is prevention on that, because sometimes we can't necessarily tell if food has been contaminated. So a lot of it comes down to the preparation side of it, following the practices of keeping it cold, making sure that your surfaces are clean, making sure that the product is cooked to the right temperature. I mean, the prevention side of it is really the way to go. But I think when you look at this, when food is spoiled, anytime that it does not look right, doesn't taste right, something seems off, you really should, not eat it, and check out and see what may have been the issue there.
Okay. Martin Bucknavage with Penn State University, thanks for your expertise on this one.
The Gardner family went on vacation and tragedy struck, certainly thinking about them. We'll be right back with more on the stream after this quick commercial break. So I can't. right, welcome back to Houston Live and Local. Okay, so the big news story that's been dominating the news cycle the last couple of days here is the text message conversation on Signal that took place. And the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, and others have been pushing back against what was reported in the Atlantic newspaper. So we want to talk more about this here this afternoon. Stephanie Quinu with our Live Now partner at Fox will be joining us to give us some more details on this. So Stephanie, let's start with a little bit of background for folks who may need a little bit of a catching up on what's been taking place here with the Atlantic and the Secretary of Defense.
Yeah, Anthony, so there was a text chain involving some of the high-level officials with the Trump administration talking about attacking Yemen and specifically the Houthi rebels. Well, someone from Mike Walz's staff actually accidentally added a journalist, the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, as part of this text chain. He then turned around and published an article stating that he was privy to what he called classified information. The Trump administration pushing back on that, stating that this was not in fact classified information. This was just an update on plans that they had already alerted European allies to. Well, yesterday, The Atlantic published more of that text chain. At the very top of it, it did say team updates. And so just moments ago, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, when he touched down in Hawaii, reconfirmed that, stating, take a look at the very first line. This just reconfirms what we have been saying all along, that this was not classified information. This was an update, and we do provide updates to our high-level officials. Well, on Capitol Hill, there have been 2 days of hearings where lawmakers have been questioning some of those high-level security officials, including Tulsi Gabbard, FBI Director Kash Patel, and others. And this has become a very partisan issue. The question, of course, remains, was this classified information? Was it not? And what will the fallout be? Right now on Capitol Hill, there is a private meeting being held right now to talk more about this. What the consequences will be, that remains yet to be seen, although President Trump has said that he does not plan on firing any of his high-level staff.
All right, Stephanie, thank you so much. Much more on that. Also here in Texas, we got Tim Walz and Beto O'Rourke. They're going to be hosting a congressional town hall in Fort Bend County over at the fairgrounds. What details do you have on that?
Yeah, you know, this is really interesting. So as you mentioned, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and former Representative Beto O'Rourke, they're going to be holding a congressional town hall tomorrow in the district of Representative Nels. Well, Representative Nels today pushed back on social media. He had some very strong words when describing O'Rourke and Walz, calling them losers and calling this town hall a, quote, publicity stunt. Representative Nels, a Republican, has received some pushback because he has not yet held a public town hall in his district. He says he doesn't need to. He meets with constituents. He meets with voters on a daily basis. And so he says he doesn't need something quite like this, calling this, and of course, Walz and O'Rourke are Democrats, saying that this is a publicity stunt. So it is going to be interesting to see how large of a crowd will come out tomorrow at this town hall and what the further discussion will be, if it's successful and if it's not.
All right, Stephanie Quinu, thank you so much for joining us here, giving us that very important insight. We appreciate you.
Absolutely.
All right. All right, we'll take one more commercial break here with Houston Live and Local. And when we come back, we've got to talk about March Madness. The Cougs, the University of Houston, the fellas got on the bus, catch the flight. They're heading to Indianapolis. We're going to take a look at our brackets here coming up. All right, welcome back to Houston Live and Local. We are outside here in the newsroom. Give you a quick little look if you're joining us for the first time. This is our beautiful newsroom. There you go. And now we are going to walk over there. But before we go, I'm going to head to the storyteller, so we're going to pull up our March Madness bracket. But take a look at the Cougs as they got on the bus and headed to Indianapolis earlier today. Okay, here we go. So now I'm running across the room because I want to get you guys to look at this bad boy right here. Let's talk about the brackets. Our NCAA bracket. So this is the Sweet 16. We filled everything in for you. We've got Auburn, Michigan, Ole Miss, Michigan State, Florida, Maryland, Texas Tech, Arkansas, Duke, Arizona, BYU, Alabama. Of course, we got the Cougs, Purdue, Kentucky, and Tennessee. Really here, no real big surprises as far as the Sweet 16. Maybe I would say Ole Miss is a bit of a surprise to get this far. Maryland, good team, but maybe not in a lot of brackets making it this far. Then you have Arkansas too. They're the lowest seed right now at number 10. But we definitely want to talk about the Cougs. So let's head to the Midwest region a little bit to give you guys a better look. So this is the Midwest region only. So remember the Cougs, they beat SIU, Edwardsville in Illinois, then Gonzaga, not Gonzaga. Don't say it wrong. Coach Kelvin Sampson might get upset. All right, so we got the Cougs playing the Boilermakers, Kentucky, Tennessee. Let's start here. Kentucky, Tennessee. I'm going to lean towards Tennessee on this one. Tennessee has been playing really good all throughout the SEC. The SEC is very competitive. We know that. Kentucky has really surprised some folks here, first-year coach, and they're really putting it all together here. You know, with the transfer portal, players coming in, coaches are able to have some success a little bit faster than what you've seen in the past. But I love the guard play from Tennessee. I think that's going to be the name of the game here for both teams is the guard play. So whichever guard, I think, can do a better job of not only orchestrating the offense, but scoring as well. We know Ziegler for Tennessee. He can shoot the ball. He's one of the best passers in the country. I believe he leads the SEC in assists. So I'm picking Tennessee there. Now let's talk about the Cougs and Purdue. So now this game is in Indianapolis. It's not a home game for Purdue, but it very well might have been. It should just be a home game for Purdue. It's in Indianapolis. Purdue is in Indiana. So expect a huge crowd of Boilermakers that have also made their way down there to Indianapolis to support Purdue. And we're hoping the Cougs can show out as well. So we showed you video a little bit ago of the team getting on the bus, heading to Indianapolis, and we hope that you guys can also get out there and support them as well. I think keys to success for this game is to just remain consistent, right? I think both Purdue and Houston have really good guard play, but Purdue is kind of a big man school, right? Remember, they are the team that lost in the NCAA championship just last year, and they had Zach Edey down there at center, and now he's in the NBA. But they have really good play down low in the post as well, and they can shoot the three really well. They have a couple of guards that can really shoot it. So Purdue is a well put together team here, but the name of the game and the identity of Houston has always been defense. So you can expect the same intensity with that defense here as they head into hopefully winning this game here against Purdue and then heading to the Elite Eight. So I'm picking the Cougs, of course. You know, I'm not being biased at all. I'm just saying I think they're going to pull it out. So we're going to go with the Cougs here to beat Purdue and then Tennessee over Kentucky. And again, I've got Houston winning the whole thing. So this is just a matter of, letting the whole thing play out. So let's go back really quickly. And then let's look at the East region a little bit. All right, Duke and Arizona. That's going to be a good game. Remember, Arizona's being led by the kid that went to North Carolina. Oh, my goodness. What's his name? Brandon. The kid that went to North Carolina now plays for Arizona? The kid that went to North Carolina now plays for Arizona? Caleb Love. So Caleb Love is pretty much the leading scorer at Arizona, and he's played Duke multiple times in the ACC. So you're going to look for him to be the leader for Arizona, hopefully trying to lead that team to put it together to beat Duke. But Duke is going to be led by Cooper Flagg. Brandon, join the stream, my man. Come on. All right, so who you got? Duke, Arizona. I think it's already filled in, so we're just going to leave it. Yeah, it's already filled in, so we're going to leave it at that. So
I have Duke.
I have Duke, too. Cooper Flagg, stud.
Yep.
Freshman of the year. Like, he's just number one pick in the NBA draft, most likely. So he's going to win that. BYU, Alabama.
Bama.
Bama, too?
Yeah, I mean, just it's gonna be high scoring.
It's going to be a very high scoring game. BYU can shoot the ball very well, so can Alabama. So there's going to be a battle of the 3-point line, see what happens there. Really quickly, we got 2 more minutes left on the stream. Would you hit the South for me? All right. Auburn, Michigan. This might be an upset for me.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be Michigan State.
Yeah, Michigan State.
Yeah.
What? The battle of the mitten. Yeah. See what's going on there in Michigan. All right, Ole Miss are picking winning there too. So let's go back and then who you got in the West? Florida, Maryland, and Texas Tech, Arkansas.
It's gonna be all SEC. I got Florida and Arkansas.
Woo! All SEC. That's solid though.
Yeah.
That's solid. Arkansas over Texas Tech.
Yeah.
Okay, I like it. That's the lowest seed left right now. Arkansas, remember, they just beat a really good St. John's team, the number 2 team at that time in this Western bracket.
Everyone forgets it's not all about players. It's all about coaching, too.
It's all about coaching, and Calipari can certainly coach. Hey, remember, it's all about the Cougs.
Yeah.
It better be anyway. But this is the bracket, Sweet 16. Look forward to the second weekend of the NCAA tournament. It's going to be a lot of fun as always. And, go Cougs, right? Go Cougs. Hey, if you still want a bracket, you can head to fox26houston.com. We have a link there for you. It's a little late, but, if you want to still fill in the bracket, do what you do, feel free to do that. All right, that's it for us here on the stream. Thank you again. This is Houston Live and Local. Every single day we bring you guys the very latest about what's happening in the community. We had a live shot earlier from Leslie. Remember, there's an accident that took place there on Yale Street, and the father, after the accident, he left his wife and kids at the scene. So we're going to tell you more about that at 5 o'clock. But thank you so much for joining me on Houston Live and Local. I'm Anthony Antoine. We'll see you tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Have a good one.
Of live pictures there, one in the White House, as we will soon enough hear from President Trump at this event to celebrate Women's History Month, and also a live picture there at the stock market as it climbed earlier on today. But at the announcement there of a press conference at 4 o'clock Eastern with President Trump about tariffs, it took a turn south. It's down some 200 points, and as you can see, they're zooming in, I believe, on that, the doors in which President Trump will walk through here in a matter of mere moments. You can see some movement on the outside of this. So we're just going to stick with this shot briefly here on Live Now from Fox ahead of this event at the White House. It's been a busy day. Caroline Leavitt cut the White House briefing just a little short today. I didn't want to preempt anything that President Trump was going to say at his press conference about tariffs, which is expected to begin in about 30 minutes. But based on the timing of this event that was supposed to begin at 3 o'clock Eastern, you can imagine everything sliding just a little bit this afternoon in our nation's capital. So we're still waiting, monitoring all of this here on Live Now from Fox of the president there in the White House. Plenty of people on hand for all of this. You can see the room filled, the media on hand, plenty of people there celebrating Women's History Month. And of course, unlikely we'll hear any questions being asked of the president at this one. The next press conference, you can imagine quite a lot of questions to be asked about the tariffs, as we're 1 week out from the deadline there, as it is pushed one more time with Mexico and Canada. We'll see if there's any retaliatory tariffs from Canada, from Mexico, based on what comes down today. And also, you might imagine questions about the signal leak, the war plans leak that is continuing to make headlines around the country and around the world. Let's take you right now out to this report from Rebecca Castor that gets us up to speed on what we're learning today.
To the fallout on Capitol Hill. It's the encrypted chat read around the world, accidentally shared by National Security Advisor Michael Waltz with Jeffrey Goldberg, the editor of The Atlantic magazine.
Of course I didn't see this loser in the group. It looked like someone else.
Director Gabbard, was it proper for them to release the entire text chain, all of the articles? Do you think that this is, it's not classified, it should come out?
Congress has spent 2 days demanding to know how bad the breach was.
There was no classified material that was shared in that
So then
signal
if there was no
check.
classified material, share it with the committee.
Gabbard didn't share it, but now The Atlantic has, releasing the entire group chat Wednesday, including what appears to be detailed attack plans. 11:44, weather is favorable, we're a go for mission launch. 14:10, more F-18s launch. 14:15, this is when the first bombs will definitely drop.
He goes hour by hour, sometimes minute by minute. Here's what's going to happen.
The damage was done, but now it's Trump officials left doing damage control.
Less than 2 weeks ago, you were on a signal chat that had all of this information about F-18s and MQ-9 Reapers and targets on strike, and you in that 2-week period simply forgot that that was there. That's your testimony?
My testimony is I did not recall the exact details of what was included there.
And there could be legal fallout as well. A watchdog group is suing top Trump officials on the chat for violating the Federal Records Act. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
All right, thank you so much for that. The fallout continues, the reaction, the kind of discussion about all of these different facets. Of course, President Trump and his administration continue to reiterate, despite us seeing those texts in person for a firsthand perspective, that there was no classified information. Of course, Pete Hegseth, the defense secretary in Hawaii, reiterating those terms just earlier today on a visit to the Indo-Pacific. All right, we're still watching this, the live event there in Washington, D.C. President Trump to celebrate Women's History Month, and you can see plenty of camera phones getting out as he's going to celebrate there with plenty of people, and also expected to announce a new caucus. You can see walking through the doors here on Live Now from Fox. That is President Trump heading to the podium here on this Wednesday event, is expected to join by female members of Congress to announce the launch of Republican Women's Caucus. Of course, let's listen in to what he has to say on Live Now from Fox.
Thank you very much. Ooh, that's a lot of good-looking people there. This is great. It's a great honor to be with you, and I want to thank everyone and welcome you to the most spectacular place, the White House. It's just an amazing place to live and to work in, and you know, I've seen a lot of good places, but believe me, there's nothing like this. It's just very special, and it's great to have you here to celebrate Women's History Month. That's a big deal. And today we honor the legacy of incredible women like Betsy Ross, Harriet Tubman, Susan B. Anthony, Clara Barton, and Amelia Earhart, all legends. And their extraordinary courage and patriotism and devotion propelled our nation to glory and to greatness. They are great women, many great women. And thank you for the vote. You were very nice to me. The women, we set every record. We loved it. We loved that vote. But we're delighted to be joined by some of the pioneering women who are making history in our own time. A woman that's just absolutely incredible. I can't tell you enough about her. She ran my campaign. We kept winning. And then we did well, where she won Florida by record numbers. And I said, you know, the second time I said, well, just keep running Florida. And the big one was stolen from us, you know. So I said, we better get her for number 3. And we won in records. We won every swing state. We won by millions of votes, the popular vote. We won everything. We won the districts, 2,750 to 507 or something like that. And we just won so big. And her name is Susie Wiles. And she, where are you, Susie? And she was just named by one of the very prominent media groups. I won't mention it because I cannot stand the people, but she was just named as, and it's true, the most powerful woman in the world. Susie, that is crazy, huh? That's a big, her father was a great, Pat Summerall, a great announcer, really great football player and announcer for the NFL for like 27 years. He really got the NFL. He did pretty well with the NFL. He got him off to a very good start, didn't he? But he was great. But she's got those same traits. So thank you very much, Susie. Great job. Also, we're going to go to somebody that's really the rage right now. She's the youngest ever White House press secretary, Caroline Levitt. Caroline, look at you, huh? They said, sir,